Okay, that's interesting.
The state has said that same-sex couples can get married. So now our Republican friend here is trying to draw the line and say, well, they might be able to get married, but they don't count as a family.
So they don't get multiple tents.
They're not allowed to get multiple tents.
It sounds silly, but it's telling, isn't it?
The rates or fees for campsites are the same whether you're a family or a non-family, but the state allows families to put up more than one tent on a campsite. BARD's complaint is they're changing the language. This is the folks who manage the campground, the state campgrounds. They're changing the language, even though the state legislature has not had a debate on this particular issue. Well, yeah, that's how it works. When a law passes, the law doesn't list every single language change, every single detail. In fact, laws are passed intentionally vague, and it's left up to the individual agencies to implement the consequences of that legislation, or in this case, the consequences of the Supreme Court ruling. He's asked the Department of Natural Resource officials to explain their proposal at an upcoming meeting. He wants to be vigilant and keep the state agencies from writing rules that extend new benefits to gay couples. A lot of advocates of gay marriage in Iowa have said it doesn't affect anything. Nothing has changed, he claims. The reality of it is that everything is changing. So here's an Iowa senator, Republican senator, who is, this is fear behavior.
Yeah.
This is somebody who is really, really afraid of gay couples, same-sex couples, being treated as families. If a same-sex couple can marry, let's say they're even allowed to adopt kids.
Oh my God.
You're going to have to buy 2 campsites instead of 1.
Because you're not a real family.
Because you're not a real family.
Yeah, come on. Wait,
never mind.
Did we lose that?
I don't
we had
know.
a phone call,
Maybe
but it
not.
seems to have gone away. Okay, never mind.
So, yeah, the committee will consider the proposed rule on Monday, but a vote on the final draft will not take place until later this summer. The committee could choose to delay a decision until 2011 so the full legislature can consider the proposal. But, yeah.
Yeah.
So, he's challenging the state parks policy that would extend family camping privileges to married same-sex couples.
Yeah.
It doesn't even say that you have to have kids. It's just that if you count as a family, which there's probably state IRS forms and state tax forms and such that would define the same-sex couple as a family, that would be able to decide for him one way or the other. But
yeah.
And in an upswing, also from the Advocate, Florida County approves non-discrimination law. Leon County, which includes the Florida state capital of Tallahassee, where they've been doing a lot of lobbying for equal rights legislation, approved a human rights ordinance Tuesday that includes protections for sexual orientation and gender identity. It also adds the protections to the county's personnel policy. Passed by a 5-2 vote at a public hearing.
Wow. That's good.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially, Florida has been...
Florida's had some
tough.
problems, but there's been a lot of activism in Tallahassee, in the capital. There's a large community in the cities in Florida that have been very vocal as of late, because a lot of the anti-gay rhetoric and violence has been in the more rural areas.
Yeah.
But and this is an unfortunate story that bears on what we started talking about.
Okay.
From the Advocate, but I believe this took place in overseas. Yeah, Glasgow. 17-year-old killed his 16-year-old friend for being gay.
Wow. Tragedy.
Jack Frew, 16-year-old, was murdered in Scotland was openly gay, a popular student at the Duncanrig Secondary School. His body was found close to a cycle path in the woods in East Kilbride near Glasgow. He had been stabbed and beaten. Speculation immediately turned to anti-gay motive. His friend is listed in here, but I'm not seeing it. Is accused of the murder, was injured in the attack, and initially treated and released from the hospital. Is now accused of the murder.
Too bad. It's a tragedy. It's not only for the murdered student, but for the perpetrator as well, whose life will never be the same.
Craig Roy, there it is.
And somebody that young, it's unfortunate.
Well, we saw that here in Connecticut in the 80s, when the two high school kids beat to death the gay man.
Yep.
Started the whole Stonewall Speakers Speak Out campaigns. And then again, like a year later or so, in the Matthew Shepard out in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Those kids have long sentences.
Yeah.
From being 17, 20 at conviction, whatever. You're going to be 40 or 50 before you get out of prison.
Yeah. Multiple lives ruined. For what? It's just, it's nuts. I mean, clearly any murder is a tragedy. But, and once again, this kind of stuff happens all the time. It just, in our community, it seems to, we know statistically it has a higher incidence. It's just unfortunate, really unfortunate.
And this is another interesting thing, which bears again on the sort of institutionalized rhetoric and infighting. It's some of our callers have made the point tonight that a lot of people are really okay.
Yeah.
Most people are actually ambivalent to supportive.
Yeah. Which is great,
But that doesn't seem to get reflected in the politics of the day.
Yeah.
We know, and we've talked about it on the show, that April 16th is a National Day of Silence. The Day of Silence, founded in 1996 at the University of Virginia by Maria Polzetti, with 150 students participating. With the goal of illustrating the silencing effect of the bullying and harassment on LGBT students and those perceived to be LGBT. It's grown into an actual day of remembrance for all the people that have actually suffered the hands of violent attacks or death, just for being different. Yeah. And so the Day of Silence is, and people understand a moment of silence to remember, to memorialize the people who've been victimized.
Sure.
For no good reason. Well, they are now starting another group is starting a nationwide school event launched by religious conservatives to counter the Day of Silence.
Oh, come on.
It's called the Day of Truth. And it will be on April 15th, the day before the Day of Silence.
Okay, go on.
The Day of Truth seeks to affirm every student's constitutional right to free speech and to provide an opportunity to have an honest conversation about sexuality.
Okay.
This is GLSEN is the Gay Lesbian Straight Education Network, sees the competing event a little differently from the official tagline on the website. They say, we find it unfortunate that the ADF, which the Alliance Defense Fund, and Exodus International try to spin a message counter to ours that an anti-LGBT bullying is wrong. Students today feel more welcome and accepted and have a sense of belonging that didn't exist 20 years ago. Part of the Day of Truth is to take away from that, to spread the mistruths about conversion therapy. I believe it's this Exodus International group